So welcome to Friday Night Live with Ken and Cheryl Edmonds and Traveling with a Chair. And she's Cheryl.
He's Ken.
And we're going to talk tonight about COVID protocols for cruising. We're going to talk in particular about Royal Caribbean, Carnival, and MSC. And we just came back from a Carnival cruise and a Royal Caribbean cruise, and we're going on an MSC cruise here really quickly. Yeah, just click on it.
Hi, Pam.
Hi, Pam. And hi, Bill. How are you doing today? Glad to see you guys chiming in the comments. And let's just start with this. Carnival was 2 cruises back. It was 3 weeks ago. So we did 2 cruises almost back to back. So what did you think, Cheryl, about the way people behaved and the rules that were on the Carnival ship?
It was good. I was really pleased. I was a little bit worried, honestly, about going on Carnival. We hadn't been on Carnival in decades, and but I was pleasantly surprised by everything. The cleanliness and you're always seeing people cleaning something, wiping down, mopping, especially any buttons where people push or anything that people would normally be touching. There was plenty of elevators on the ship that we were on. And I was kind of worried because it was a smaller ship, and I was worried, but there was a lot of elevators. You could always get an elevator just for your family or for yourself. And we had masks on when you're inside, and outdoors by the pool. They didn't require it, and they didn't require it when you were eating. You'll have to think again back to that ship. But I just remember I was pleasantly surprised, and I did feel safe.
Well, yeah, and to put it in perspective, you think about where can you go in the town you live in where you have everybody there that's over 12 is vaccinated, and everybody's wearing a mask, and people are enforcing the mask rules. It's not just like somebody thinks they're going to put a mask on, but the staff on the ship were, they were very polite about it. But if you went out and forgot your mask, they would either ask you to go back to your cabin and get your mask, or they would just hand you a mask. And most of the time, they had masks for you. And I thought that in general, people complied pretty good. Once you sat down to eat, you could take your mask off. Once you sat down somewhere to drink, you could take your mask off. In the Carnival shows, they rule in the theater was as you do a lift and sit. So in other words, you want to drink, you lift it up, take a sip, you put your mask down.
Oh, another thing that a lot of cruise lines added, and Carnival had it in a couple places, was more hand washing stations. And this was, I think it was in front of the, I think on Carnival was in front of the buffet, was it? Yeah, and then also, the buffet, and off to the side, I noticed there was another small one in another area of the buffet. And then they've always been big on the washing. Now it's like the hand sanitizer stuff and the masking, and so they really bumped it up a lot.
Yeah, and so if you went to the buffet, for example, you had to put your mask back on, and when you left the table, when you got back to the table, you take your mask off. But you couldn't go up anywhere they were serving food or anywhere people were congregated together reasonably close. You couldn't get to them without having your mask on. The other thing that they did, and this is applied on Royal Caribbean as well, is that on both ships they blocked off seating in the theaters, they blocked off seating in the dining areas, so that you weren't right next to somebody. And again, I felt more comfortable on the ship than I do going anywhere in the town I live in, because you go to Lowe's Hardware or you go to the grocery store, half the people are not going to have masks on, and then where I live, probably half the people aren't vaccinated, and those are the half that aren't wearing masks. So, I felt very safe and secure. But we're going to talk a little bit. Carnival's going to change its rules, but let me, I will share first of all, and these links to these sites are in the notes or the description under the video. But Carnival, it's their have fun, be safe. At the top, there's a click button. You can click on it. And it goes through all the protocols. Now, what I did is I just summarized what's here. And so let me pull up that summary. Sorry, I should have that slide ready for you. Okay, so first of all,
That's missing.
let me find the right slide. Carnival. Guests that are under 12 years of age and vaccinated passengers have to have a COVID test 2 to 3 days before the cruise. And that cannot be an antigen test. It has to be a PCR, or there's another one for it. And then when they get to the port, they're going to have to get tested again. And there's a $150 fee per person for that test. So if you're not vaccinated, you have to test 2 to 3 days before you go to the port, at the port, and then you have to have a test before you get off of the ship. And on Carnival Cruise Lines, this was true on our cruise, you had to take a Carnival-sponsored excursion. They also have a requirement because of ongoing issues.
Is this sharing that screen?
Just, that they have to have travel insurance that covers COVID. Now, I personally recommend that everybody have that anyway. And there's a limited number of guests that can be on the ship that are unvaccinated. And I think that number is somewhere around 5% of the passengers or less, because I think the CDC is requiring 95% vaccinated. Okay, and they require masks in all the indoor spaces except the cabin. If the guests over 12 and vaccinated, you have to have proof of vaccination. You can do an antigen test, which is the quick test. And you have to do that within 2 days of sailing. You can take independent shore excursions, so you don't have to take the Carnival excursions, and they're less restrictive on the mask requirements. Now, Carnival is changing starting in the 1st of January. And this is a hard and fast rule: is unvaccinated guests not allowed. And any guest that's 5 and over has to be vaccinated. You have to have the proof of vaccination. The rules are pretty much the same. But basically, starting in January 1st, and that's good for January and February, according to what Carnival's published, is they have to be vaccinated to be on the ship. And they said that we understand that this is going to prevent some families from cruising, and we're sorry, but we're not going to change the rule. Now, like I said, everything in life is subject to change, but that's their current stance, is that everybody on the ship has to be vaccinated. So again, that puts you in a situation, like rephrase it, you have to be 5 and over to be on the ship. So kids under 5 who wouldn't be vaccinated can't be on the ship. So everybody's going to be on the ship is going to be vaccinated. Everybody on the ship is going to be tested. It doesn't get much safer than that. Does that mean that there's a 100% guarantee that nobody would get COVID? No, it doesn't mean that. But it means it is the safest possible environment to be. Like I said, you can't go to a restaurant in your town. You can't go to anywhere in the area you live in that would be this strict as far as requirements. So I'm pretty happy about that. I mentioned we have a cruise coming up at the end of January. We're going on an 8-day cruise, and I am so happy that this is the way that rule is structured right now. Is nobody that's not vaccinated is going to be on the ship.
Yeah, when we were on Carnival, I only saw 2 children on the trip that we took. On Royal Caribbean, I did see, I think, 10 or 12 young, really small children.
Yeah, and so let's talk a little bit about, let me change for just a second. We'll talk a little bit about Royal Caribbean. I just changed so I can see what you guys are seeing. On Royal Caribbean, I realized you guys didn't see those slides. I'm sorry. So let me back up through the slides. This is basically what I went over. I just wanted to share this with you so you can read it real quickly for yourselves. But under 12 right now on Carnival, they can be unvaccinated. And if you have a medical or religious reason to not get vaccinated, right now you can sail on Carnival, provided they have enough, enough empty spaces. Because like I said, it's typically limited to about 5% of the number of passengers on board. So 100 for every 100 people on, you'll find right now they could have 5 unvaccinated. That changes in January. To unvaccinated guests, not allowed. And 5 or over. And this 5 and over rule is such that if a person turns 5 the day of the cruise, which means that they wouldn't be vaccinated, they can't go. Because vaccinated means 14 days after your last shot. So again, all of this is designed to protect the passengers that are on board. And like I said, we're really happy with it. Got a couple of notes here. Pam, like that.
Yeah, on the flight, what I personally do on the flight is I made some of my own 3-layer masks, and I made paper inserts, like coffee filter inserts for them. I'll wear one of those, and then on the flight, I put a disposable paper one on top of that. I'm wearing like a lot of layers, and I try not to eat or drink anything on the flight unless I really, really get thirsty. But and so then when I get off the flight, I just throw away that exterior mask and I changed my other mask. And I felt better like that, and we've flown a couple times like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, flying is my least favorite part of it, but we're flying down for the MSC cruise. The last 2 out of Miami, we drove down because we had some other things to do down there. But the goal is to keep ourselves safe. I'm an old man. We both have some breathing problems, so we're high risk. But again, I don't have any discomfort in being on the ship. Like I said, flying is the worst piece of it. And, Cheryl described what we do to try to protect ourselves when we fly. And again, if we're on the airplane and you need a drink, it's lift and sip and back down. And all you can do is be smart, is all I can say about that, is try to be careful. So let's go to Royal Caribbean. What did you think about Royal Caribbean, Cheryl?
Oh, well, I love Royal Caribbean, but if we're just going to stick to the COVID stuff, I felt very, very safe on Royal Caribbean as well. The ship was a big ship. It was the biggest out there right now, and it was probably less than half full, and had lots of big elevators, plenty of room. If you told people we didn't want to get on the elevator with you, you just you'd wait, that was fine, or whatever. Everybody was very polite, easy to work with, guests and the staff. They had encouraged, the sip and cover also, and I like the fact that some of the entertainment is outside. The water, the aqua show was absolutely fantastic, and that was outside, and the wind was really moving. I mean, even though the water was I still felt safe out there. I like it when I'm outside and the wind is moving during COVID time. And nobody said anything about, like if you left your room, pretty soon somebody was going to tell you, oh, you don't have your mask on. And they would remind you to go back and get it. They had a lot of areas separated just for vaccinated cruisers. So like they have the Rising Tide bar that starts on the 6th floor.
6th floor, yeah.
5th or 6th floor, and then it goes up several floors. Yeah, 5th to the 8th floor. It goes up, and that was for vaccinated guests only, because it is kind of, once you get going up in there, you're like when you get up to the top, you're in a closed area. So they all had to be vaccinated. Some of the bars had areas out in their little what do they call that, promenade. In the promenade, the area out in the promenade said vaccinated guests only. So there was, I think they did it as just as good a job as Carnival, and they constantly also, almost never you could look in the corner of a big area and not see somebody wiping something down, cleaning something. Just made you feel really good about it.
Yeah, I would say in there, what they did both for the shows and for the dining rooms, because they had multi-story dining room. They had one level that was for vaccinated passengers. The non-vaccinated passengers went in on a different level. So again, they did everything they could to keep people that were not vaccinated separated from people who were vaccinated. I thought everything was handled very professionally. The Royal Caribbean, a lot of places they had little, if you realized you were without your mask, they had little mask dispensers, where they had a sealed mask and you could just grab one and take it. They were N95 masks. I thought that worked really well. Like I said, I couldn't have been happier with the protocols.
When you get in your room, and when you get to your room, they have a little bottle of hand sanitizer in your room, and several masks, the wrapped individual masks
Yeah.
waiting for you. So in case, one of you, someone who's with you didn't bring very many, that'll help you out.
Yeah, and one of the things that's interesting about Royal Caribbean is if you're 12 years of age or older, and again, the same rule, if you turn 12 the day of the cruise, you can't go because you have to be fully vaccinated unless you are fully vaccinated. But the one thing that they did do is everybody that was vaccinated, you had a wristband you wore. So that any of the staff on the ship knew whether or not you were vaccinated. They crimped it on, you couldn't slide it off, you had to cut it off to get it off. And they did that as you were debarking the ship. They would cut the ribbon off. And it annoyed Cheryl for a little while, but you got used to it pretty quickly. Again, but it just made it quick and easy to know whether somebody was vaccinated or not. And it's interesting that they don't accept religious exemptions or medical reasons. If you have a religious exemption to a mask, to a vaccination, you can't go. If you have religious reasons, you just can't cruise with them. They're not discriminating. It's just their rule is you have to be vaccinated. If you don't want to get vaccinated, you can't sail. And I'm fine with that. Again, you had to have the COVID test within 2 days of sailing. For those that are vaccinated, you can take independent short excursion. You can do what you want to do. Like I said, there were venues that the entire venue was vaccinated passengers only. Now, if in that situation, if they were traveling with children, this applied in Carnival too, and it'll apply on MSC. If they're traveling as a family with children that are unvaccinated, then for shore excursions, they have to take ship excursions. And that applies to all 3 cruise lines because they create basically bubble excursions where, they enforce the mask rule. And, and what I would say too is all the ports we went to, when you got off the ship, you had to have a mask on. So if you're going to cruise right now, you just expect when you're out traveling around with people. Now, if you're outside, like at the beach or something, you didn't have to have a mask on. But if you're going to get in a van with somebody or take a tour or something, you got to have your mask on. And I'm fine with that. Again, I'd rather cruise with a mask than not cruise. That's my personal preference on it. It's interesting that MSC kind of mirrors almost exactly Royal Caribbean. And that's where we're going next is in 3 weeks or so, we're going on the Meraviglia. We've never been on it, so we're looking forward to being on a new ship. But again, up to 12 years of age, they don't have to be vaccinated, but they have the same test rules. They have one other thing. You can't use an antigen test if they're not vaccinated for their pre-test. It has to be a PCR test or one of the more stringent tests. And then they get a COVID test at port. You get another COVID test when you get off. You got to do the MSC sponsored excursions. Same kind of thing. Now, I have not seen anything on either Royal Caribbean or MSC about changing to 5 years. Carnival is the one that has gotten most restrictive starting January 1st. And, we're looking forward to going on our cruise in January, knowing that we're going with, a bunch of vaccinated, masked people. Further thoughts on that, Cheryl?
I don't think so. And I think that right now, the people that are cruising right now are the people, for the most part, that are vaccinated and are glad that other people are vaccinated. So that it was nice being on a cruise ship full of people thinking the same way that you are about it.
Yeah, you didn't have anybody making us think about wearing a mask or anything. Let me ask this: if you haven't subscribed to my channel and you're enjoying the content, please do me a favor, subscribe. We're going to be live every week talking about some aspect of travel. It's not always going to be about COVID. We'll probably talk a little bit about our plans next week for MSC and the islands we're going to visit. We'll probably talk some more about all of the things we did on the Carnival cruise and on the Royal Caribbean cruise we had. Like I said, they were both fantastic cruises. And Cheryl's got something exciting.
On the news?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. There's just an announcement today by Princess that they're going to be offering 1 free cruise for 2 to either first responder, a medical personnel, or nurses. There'll be a drawing. You enter online, but it doesn't start until the 18th, which I believe is Monday. and it runs from the 18th to about the 30th. I believe that you can enter it. So right now you could go to the site to enter, but it says it's expired, but that's because it hasn't started yet, I think. So anyway, if you know anyone, if they have to be working, their employment will be checked by an independent company, I believe. And so when they go in to register for it, they have to say where they're working and their position and things like that. So not being a nurse, I can't fill it out and show you how to fill it out or what really is completely involved in it, but I can get you a link or send you a link if you know someone that would be interested in that opportunity. It's not actually they're calling it a cruise for two. It's a $2,500 credit for a princess cruise. So it depends what you do with it and how many people you take, if that'll cover it all.
And if anybody's interested, Cheryl and I are going to be also on the Emerald Princess out of out of Fort Lauderdale. We're going to the Panama Canal on the December 29th sailing. Yeah, we thought that was great too, Pam. And also MSC has got still has a first responders offer as well. But we'll be going, it's a partial transit of the Panama Canal, 10 days from Fort Lauderdale round trip. So if anybody wants to meet us on the ship and travel with us, reach out to us. You can get our contact information. Will be in the description after this. And again, if we have no further questions, Pam said. Pam says she wants to be in her family right now. Okay. So I have to say this as a disclosure. The MSC cruise, because we are travel agents, the MSC cruise was free. Because I did some training with Princess, I got that cruise free. Because I couldn't afford to travel like we're traveling right now. But there's been, for travel agents, the ships have been kind of empty. So the cruise lines have been very generous in giving us some great discounts to make it easy for us. But I will have, and I'm posting videos back going pretty steadily now once a week. This video will stay live. And if you watch this on the replay and you have a question, don't feel, just go ahead and put it in the comments or in the discussion underneath on the replay, because I get those. You can put that down there, and I'll come back with an answer to your questions. Again, on my channel, if you travel with any kind of a challenge, we've got information that's designed to help you. That's our goal. That's actually why we travel as much as we do, is to do videos. I probably will have 10 or 15 videos from the Carnival cruise, probably about the same number from the Royal Caribbean cruise. Plus, we did 2 days in Key West, and there'll be videos on all that. We found some really cool things that you can do that are accessible. So hopefully you'll find a lot of useful information. And there's probably more information than you'll ever want to know about Alaska on my channel, because we've been there a lot. Okay. Well, you'll have to work on it, Pam. Okay. Well, listen, we appreciate everybody that's been here live, taking time out of your evening to be here. Again, like I said, if you would, and if you thought the content was useful, hit the like button also, because when you hit the like button on YouTube, that's basically telling YouTube that there's something worthwhile there, and they'll just share it with others. Thanks very much. We'll see you next Friday.
Bye.